All right, joining me now, Michael Lombardi from The Athletic. Michael, great to be with you as always. I want to hit on your recent article that you wrote for The Athletic about Tim Tebow and his opportunity with the Jags. You call him at the top of what you wrote, a self-indulgent salesman. Now, I'm a Florida grad, so
I'm sorry.
I'm going to take issue with that. But in all seriousness, isn't this more about the Jags' decision to do this than an athlete's decision to pursue an opportunity that's been made available?
Yeah, I think it's both, but I do think that Tim's not aware enough to know that it's time to stop. I think what I wrote at the end of the column about John Updike's great quote about the celebrity mask that people wear, I think the mask has affected him. You know, a lot of people in Michael Jordan's world never called him Mike. Only his dad called him Mike. Only his dad saw him without the mask on. And I think that Tim has got this perpetual mask on when his career is long over. And to continue to do that, to me, is self-indulgent in the sense that it's time to remove yourself from the spotlight and get back. Don't take.
You do write in your column about Michael Jordan, and that if this would be a decision that he would have made to do really anything, that he's earned that right and that opportunity as a truly elite, world-class, one in a handful kind of guy, athlete. And you write that Tim Tebow is not that guy. I mean, can you flesh that out a little further? If Tim Tebow would have proven himself in the professional realm in any way, would that have given him a little bit more leash to pursue an opportunity like this after being out of the league for so long?
You know, it could have, but to me, you know, this was an idea that was born when he signed with New England. They wanted to move him to tight end. He didn't want to do it then, you know. And when he was coming out of college, people wanted to work him out at another position. He didn't want to do it then. And when his career in Philadelphia flamed out, you know, why not take up the tight end position at that point? But now he went to baseball. So he tried baseball and he got a tryout with baseball. That didn't really work out. And so now he wants to come back and do something that he should have done 5 years ago. To me, it's like, are we going to just stop and say, you know, I've had a great run. I've got a Heisman. I've got a great life. I'm on ESPN. Like, do I really need to keep doing this? And why are people giving me chances to do this? Like, I don't understand why people are bending over backwards to help Tim when if you just read the column and understand that he's taking away from the team, not giving to the team, it's problematic.
One of the things you write in your column along that line is that being a great teammate is not an important enough metric to take an opportunity away from an elite player. And that is what you hear when you hear about those who are defending Tim Tebow's decision to do this. Oh, he's a great leader. He's a great teammate. He'll be advantageous in the locker room. That in your mind is not enough?
Have you ever seen a great leader, a great teammate who doesn't play?
Not really.
No, of course not. And to me, the real issue is, and I take this on too. Again, my column's not attacking Tebow; it's attacking Tebow's constant wanting to have the limelight, but also the Jaguars and Urban Meyer. Whenever you make a decision, you should always, and I write about this in the Daily Coach, what would have to be true for this decision to come to what we want, right? Well, what would have to happen for Tim Tebow to really be for this to be a smart decision? The only way this works is if Tim Tebow becomes an elite tight end, becomes a starting tight end in the league who can contribute on all three downs. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen because it's too far away. He's too old to change positions and do that. So why would I risk taking away from anybody else to do something that's not going to happen? That's a faulty decision, and that's where I took it. Because Urban Meyer, you know, I wrote it there. He says it's my job to put a winning team on the field. Yeah, that's right. It is his job to do that. But you have to be smart and calculating about how you do that. You just can't take everybody. You're not at Ohio State. You don't have 125 guys coming out on campus. You're not at Florida. You don't have 125 guys. You don't have three teams operating on three different fields, so you can get practice reps for everybody. Football's a condensed version, and if you don't understand that, and you're giving reps away to a guy who never can come out for what you need him to be, then you're wasting time, and time is the only thing you have to take advantage of.
I want to just flesh that out a little further because I want to just quote something from your column. You said you agree with Urban that he has one job, and it's basically what you're saying now, but he has to understand that time is his enemy. There's not enough hours in the day to develop everybody that's on the field, and the NFL is a business. A coach's time equals money. how, flesh that out a little bit further for me. How much does he have to learn about managing his time and managing an NFL team, which, like you said, is a business, and accepting the fact that you have to pick and choose your spots, and this might not be the right spot?
Right. I think so. To me, he's in charge. The NFL, the head coach, has to figure out how he can develop starters. And the reason the back of most teams' rosters are economically friendly is because we have a salary cap. You can't have a backup, a third-string tight end making $1 million, even though it's the veteran minimum, because you're losing basically $500,000 to a player by doing so. So you have to kind of weigh all this in. This is like you're a painter trying to make a portrait, and you've got to outline it first. And I think he's making a mistake as if, well, I'll just take as many good players as I can. What's the end result? What happens when Tim Tebow's 35? Is he still playing? Is he an elite tight end? No. Can he help us in the kicking game? Probably not. Like, where is this going? Where is this going besides I'm trying to help a young kid who won a national championship with me in Florida? That's what it smells like. That's what it is. And he's doing him a favor. And now that favor comes in the locker room, because every rep he gives to Tim and every time he makes Tim an important part of the practice, all the other players stick around their noses saying, see, teacher's pet, teacher's pet. That creates division within the locker room. You can't have that.
So, and I guess if I'm just kind of processing this out loud as well, for those that would say, oh, there's merit to bringing a team first guy into the locker room to help develop a rookie quarterback, that doesn't even hold any water in your opinion, because he hasn't proven himself at the elite level in the NFL as an NFL quarterback. And I guess you would need that kind of role model because of how different the college game is.
No doubt. I mean, if he was willing to do that, then make him a coach. I would be all for that. Tim, go in there and help us coach. Come be a graduate assistant there. You got enough money. We'll teach you the coaching profession. Help the young man out. Teach him how to be a hard worker. But, I go back to, there's this mythology of Tim that he's this team player, but he does things that don't resonate with the team. And you can't be a leader. You cannot be the leader unless you're the best player on the team, unless you're one of the people contributing to winning. You can't be the leader. You can't be a great teammate when you're not even getting practice reps. I think it's just a fallacy that continues to perpetuate around Tebow.
So not going down the coaching route or not taking a position that's a little bit more in the background that would provide that kind of value. Do you think that that's a combination of, A, the Jags look at jersey sales and they know that he's the hometown hero and that he'll do really well there in terms of generating interest, and it's a bit of a publicity stunt, and B, the fact that, this is a guy that can't hang him up, and when he finds an opportunity to try to prove himself, he's just simply not going to walk away from that opportunity. Is it both? Is it more the Jags saying, hey, we don't want to put him, on the assistant coaching staff or wherever he would go. We want this guy to help generate some interest, some social interest.
The only thing that Carolyn, covering the league for as long as you have, the only thing that generates interest is winning. And all that periphery stuff, that the jersey sale, that's great. But if you don't win, interest dwindles. And just because Tim Tebow's on the team doesn't mean that people are going to come to the stadium, because he's not going to be on the team when it comes time to play games. No one's going to drive to the stadium and watch Tim Tebow be a third-string tight end. I mean, who does that? Is he going to be active for the game? And I think here's the real issue. And this is what's the fundamental problem with the NFL that goes on for the longest time. Personnel people see young players they want to develop. Coaches have players they want to develop. And when those two aren't in sync, it creates friction within the organization. You can't tell me that the tight end coach is excited to be coaching Tim Tebow, knowing that he's going to have to try to work extra hard. You can't tell me the personnel department's happy having Tebow there, because they lose out on developing a young player. The only person who's happy is Urban and Tebow.
Is there any situation in your mind, Michael, at all, where he would exceed expectations and somehow be able to work his way into becoming a contributor as a tight end on this team?
I just don't see it, Carolyn. The game's too fast. It requires, tight end is a multidimensional position. You have to block and you have to run routes. It's very challenging. He's not athletic enough to extend himself outside the formation like George Kittle does or like Gronk does. He's not big enough to block the 9 technique in a run game. He's not big enough to block the 7 technique in the passing game. So it's all about these things. He has to learn how to pass protect. Never done it before. Has to learn how to run block. Never done it before. Has to learn how to run routes and be precise in the routes. Those are all hard things. I don't dispute that Tim Tebow's not a really good athlete. You don't go play football and then have somewhat of a baseball career without having athletic, but he's not an elite athlete. Like, this isn't a guy that's going to go score 30 in a pickup basketball game somewhere against NBA players. That's not the case. And so at 33, all due respect to Phil Mickelson, sometimes your skill dwindles and you get slower and not as quick. And I think that's what's happening.
Yeah, football's not golf, too. That's for sure. Everybody, this is a column that's worth checking out. It's fascinating. It seems like there's a little bit of nuance here between Tim Tebow and the team, and we'll see what happens. Michael, before we let you go, I do want to ask you about this debacle that happened on the air between Julio Jones and Shannon Sharpe. I mean, this is just me speaking personally. I was a little bit disappointed and kind of disgusted that whole thing took place live the way that it did. And I'm not even sure if Julio Jones knew that he was being recorded. But what was your reaction to that? That kind of like guerrilla journalism move where all of a sudden you got a guy thinking he's maybe speaking to somebody confidentially and it's all over the news.
Well, I mean, this is the world we live in today with Twitter. I think, unfortunately, it's just social media meets television. Carolyn, I didn't see it as a story, not the event that happened, but the news that broke from the event. I mean, we knew before the draft Julio Jones was available. We know the Falcons want to trade Julio Jones. The only reason he hasn't been traded yet is because they want to wait for the June 1 deadline, and in a couple of weeks where they can prorate his money into the 2022 cap, not into this cap. So to me, I talked about it on my podcast, the GM Shuffle, about what destinations would be. But I do think it is a violation of someone's rights when you put them on the air and you start having this conversation when they don't know they're actually there, unless it was rigged between Fox and Shannon and the young man and Julio. So, I mean, for me, it's just a little bit of where we are with journalism, and it's not quite right.
The world that we live in, with Tim Tebow taking a spot from a potentially deserving tight end and Julio Jones being sandbagged on live television. Michael Lombardi, thanks for being with us. If you haven't checked out The Daily Coach, make sure you get that to your inbox. I love it. I look forward to it every day. You've got your podcast and, of course, writing great columns for The Athletic as well. Thanks for being with us, Michael.
Thank you, Carolyn.